right, welcome to the show. Welcome to episode 2. Thank you for putting up with episode 1 with Dave Draper. He's passed away. He died of the hot sauce, so we had to bury him. He just said, you know what, if I die at the end of the show, just pick my body up and throw it. And he didn't have life insurance, so we just picked it up and threw it, and wherever it lands, that's where he's going to end up. So I wanted to thank Dave Draper. He's actually still alive. He's one of my best friends. He's not passed away. But I wanted to thank Dave Draper for the first episode of whatever the show is going to be called. Terry, we haven't even really named it yet. That's the hardest part. It's not creating the content. It's.
I think you should call it Terry's Friends Hot Sauce.
Yeah, your name's not going to be in it, Terry. It's like that goatee is almost as big as your ego right now. Yeah, we love it.
I don't have an ego.
Oh no, you're good. You're good.
I have a healthy appetite. But,
well, I'm glad that you fasted for 3 days for this one episode of whatever the hell it's going to be called. But I'm Jimmy McKinley, comedian. Well, I call myself a comedian. Jimmy McKinley. You may have seen me at the Vogue Theater. I'll be on the episode 1 of Trailer Park Boys on January 1st, but this is probably going to air after January 1st, so hopefully that you watch it on the SwearNet app and support a bunch of millionaires that don't need to be supported, even though we have a hot sauce from them.
Great way to get on episode 2.
Yeah, season 2. Yeah, they've already filmed season 1, so I'm still looking for a job.
Okay.
You know, still living off EI. I don't qualify for EI. But I wanted to welcome our second guest for, obviously your second guest for episode 2, a blues musician. So we have some credits here that I had to write down because you have so many. But I wanted to summarize them into 2 accolades, 2 bullet points. So 2012 and 2015 Blues Musician of the Year from Music New Brunswick, and a 3-time ECMA East Coast Music Award nominee. Please welcome Terry Whalen, man. Thank you for.
Thanks for having me.
We got to do the fist bump.
This is cool. Yeah, we can do a lucky elbow.
Yeah, we can't reach across the table. Yeah, we're gonna spill some sauce if we do that.
I might be better off if we spill them as opposed to eat them. I don't know. We'll see.
So let me ask you that. So are you a wing guy?
I love wings, but.
How are you with hot sauce?
I'm not good with hot sauce. I never got exposed to hot sauces as a kid. I don't know why. I remember the first time we had Donairs. I know, which is crazy.
First of all, that is not. Yeah.
I know it's not.
If you're comparing hot sauce,
I know, but I remember the first time I had anything that was spices in it, and that was a Donair.
Dude, brother, if you're saying spices, the first time I ever had salt, it's like if you're talking about salt and pepper. I'm like, how are you with hot sauce? Well, once I had salt in the late 70s, I once had a little bit of Tabasco sauce by accident.
Well, it would have been mid-70s, but yeah, same thing.
Yeah, and then I took the rest of the week off from whatever the hell I was doing in the 70s.
I just never, my mother didn't cook with Tabasco sauce or none of those things, so.
So what were they, growing up, what was a typical, like 5 p.m., my parents eat at like 3. Dad's like, you're coming over for supper? Supper's ready. It's 3 o'clock. I swear to God, everything's ready. Your mother gets off at 4. I'm going to go get her at Home Hardware. Okay. Anyway, and then we have to eat like super early. I'm like, I just ate lunch.
No, at our house, it was old-fashioned back in the day. We had
meat and potatoes.
Meat and potatoes at 5 o'clock, and we sat and ate as a family every night, 7 days a week.
And you are Terry Whalen. You're like a king, like a King Louis. It's like there's Terry. So your son is Terry Whalen. You're Terry Whalen. Your father was Terry Whalen. I'm pretty sure your grandfather was Terry.
No, he was
not Terry. Who was he?
His name was James Whalen. So my son is Terry James, named after my grandfather.
Oh, really?
Yeah. So there's 3 Terrys, and there won't be a 4th. I don't think. I think Terry's going to end that. Really? My son.
He's had 8.
Yeah, I think phone rings when we're all in the house, and it's for Terry, and it's like an episode of Clue trying to figure out who the phone's for.
Yeah, Professor Plum with the candlestick.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah. I thought it was cool. There's some advantages and probably more disadvantages to being Terry Whalen. Everyone knew. Someone said, "Who are you?" Well, I'm Terry. Oh, I know your father, Terry Whalen. And so
it's difficult when I'm talking to someone in my family. They're like, Well, which Terry Whalen? Young Terry Whalen or old Terry Whalen? I was like, what do you consider young?
Yeah, because my
Because
son is going to be 33 in January.
Because he would be the young Terry Whalen.
Right.
Before, you would have been considered the
Yeah,
young Terry Whalen.
yeah,
Right.
that's right.
Yeah. And you were also I want to announce, even though I'm not sure if the audience will find it interesting, you were my teacher. You were my,
High school.
Yeah, high school. Do you
Yeah.
remember what you taught me? Do you remember what grade and what?
Well, it would have been 11 and 12 course. It would have been graphic art and design.
That's what it was.
Yeah.
I did not do anything in that course. I did not do anything.
And you ended up still with a good mark.
I did. Listen, I ended up. I'm probably gonna get you. Yeah, you're protected by the teachers union. No matter what we say.
Well, look, we got to have social promotion for people that aren't qualified. So.
Yeah. Dude, I handed something into you, and you looked at it, and you went, "What is it?" Like that's literally what you said.
Yeah.
Yeah. And
I'm trying to be supportive.
No,
I mean,
the best thing that you've ever, one of the best memories, not my best memory of you, but one of the best memories of the academia Terry Whalen that I'll remember is I injured my knee when I was working at Schulten's because I was 114 pounds. And I was lifting 2 propane tanks. You don't remember this. I know you don't remember this because I was only on crutches for a couple days. I was on a walking splint. So I injured my knee very badly. And so I was on these crutches. And at the same time, I'd somehow been nominated for some bursary, or not a bursary, but it was some award thing that was going on in the school that I had to hobble down to the office to go get because Oliver wouldn't go get it for me. Thanks, Oliver, my best friend. Anyway, so I'm standing there, and as I'm leaving, because there's a bunch of grade 12s and grade 11s in the class, right? Matthew Jameson was in the class.
Okay.
Kelly McKenzie was in the class. Everyone was, all these like fun people, popular people were in the class, but me. So I'm hobbling down to the office, and as I'm leaving, everyone was being really, really loud. And you stood up after solving a Rubik's Cube within 43 seconds, and you said, "Quiet down! What do you think this is? The Opera House?" Funniest thing you've ever done.
Okay.
Let's start this right now, Terry Whalen. Obviously, as a teacher, Blues Musician of the Year 2012, 2015. We're going to get started with these wings. I actually forgot this is a talk show about wings. So we're going to start with, so the first one, so you don't do well with hot sauce?
No,
Considering you were talking about salt and pepper a minute ago?
So that's a precursor to where we're headed, maybe.
Yeah. So anyway, we're going to call this the Barbecue Francis Peabody. So
Okay.
it's a relatively cool one. We've named it after Francis Peabody, which isn't hot because everything tends to burn down in Newcastle. So we're going to... Yeah, that's going to get me fired. I'm never going to get a job after that. Anyway, we're gonna dip. You can dip as much as you want as well, Terry. Yeah.
Let me give it a little. Here's the thing about hot sauces, because it's not just about how hot they are, because there's a flavor, right? So each of them have their own flavor, I'm assuming, right?
Yeah. So some of them, oh, that's a really nice one. So some of them just have heat, and I've learned a lot of this from Stefan, right? So a lot of them, it's just extract, and it's just habanero extract. Mm-hmm. A lot of them have a lot of flavor in it as well. So you're going to see that as you go along. A lot of these sauces are more flavorful than just...
This is good.
Yeah. What I love about hosting this TV show is the fact that sometimes we're just eating wings for 5 minutes. like you're just like, oh my God. Because the wings at O'Donoghue's Irish Pub, which I want to thank our sponsors tonight, New Maritime Brew Co. New Maritime Brew Co. Whatever the hell the name of it is. It's a very long title, so sometimes I get it wrong. And O'Donoghue's Irish Pub and the Live-A-Bite app. The Live-A-Bite app. If you're home and you're hungry and you really want food and you want to pay like 9%. Actually, the business pays that. We're going to reset. I want to thank our sponsors tonight. So I'll do New Maritime and Deliv-A-Bite, as well as O'Donoghue's Irish Pub, the beautiful Williston House. Can you believe we're here?
Well, I've been here a lot. I love it here. This is my home. I mean, yeah. I can't thank. I mean, since O'Donoghue's reopened, but with Steph LaForce and Eden McDougall, I've been treated like a king here. I mean, I've played here a lot. I've hosted shows. To me, it's a home. I mean, I can't.
I thought you were from Newcastle.
You know what? I consider myself a Miramichier. Hopefully, the more people start doing that. I mean, I went to high school at Jameson Hill, but I went to elementary and middle school in Newcastle.
Did you know? I did not know that. I did not know that you graduated from JMH.
Yeah.
Wow.
But I know
everything's different now.
There's still people that have those old ties and whatnot, but we're Miramichi now, and we have to get by that. But some of that has been good too. I think some of that competitiveness has helped us become who we are a little bit. But I can't say enough for O'Donoghue's how they've embraced me as an artist since they've. And I played here before, but this is home to me. I love it here.
Is there any difference between performing in Newcastle and performing in Chatham? The cultures, or anything?
No, I don't think. I mean, you may find, we're Miramichiers. I mean, there's a difference playing in Miramichi than playing in Fredericton,
absolutely,
or even St. John.
Yeah.
And St. John's more of a blue-collar kind of town, which I would
depends
would
what.
say.
But you know what though? What I will say, it depends what part of St. John. So if you're McAllister Drive, it's very. It's like rock quarry down there.
Now, the other place that I feel very comfortable is Perth Andover. And I've never lived in a small town like that. I mean, we're talking small town.
You've lived there or performed there?
No, I perform there, and I do a rock camp up there in the summertime. They have a wonderful festival, Laramie Creek Hullabaloo, and that's another place that I just always welcome the opportunity to get to, And, but anyway, yeah.
I love Perth. I did a terrible horror movie there once in Tobique. It was in the middle of the woods.
Oh, yeah, okay.
Tobique,
I thought you were going to tell me about a bad date they had up there.
Yeah. She's like, can you pick me up in Tobique? The last time I had a date that I did online, she's like, oh, it was on like MSN Messenger, and she said, so first of all, there's two parts. There's a two-part story. Well, maybe we'll do episode 3 with Jason Martell and finish it. But she's like, oh, well, let's meet at Toonie Tuesday. So I went to KFC. She went to Mike's. I was like, what? She's like, where the hell are you? I had to wait till I got home on MSN because no one had a phone back in 2005. So we're going to try to keep this train on the rails here. We're going to question 2. And this is something that I can probably, as a performer as well, in different genre or silo of performance arts, but still relevant. What are some of the things that you do to prepare for a show? And if you can compare it with preparing for like a teaching class, like are there stuff that's synonymous?
One of the things I find hardest about performing is memorizing lyrics.
Yeah.
And it's something that I struggle with early on because, I mean, I've been a musician for years, going back to high school, and obviously I wasn't very good then, but eventually I got better and ended up in bands. But I didn't start singing until I was 43. So I never had to worry too much about lyrics. No, I'd never sung before that.
Just guitar?
Just guitar. And when I started doing my own music, Stephen McKnight, who used to run CD Plus, said, listen, man, you're going to do your own music, you got to sing your own songs. So I started singing, and I didn't think I was a very good singer. Something I grew into and got more comfortable with, and it is what it is. I'm not a top 40 singer. What I sing, I think I do fairly well. The blues genre.
Do you enjoy singing, or did you?
No, I do. Yeah. I think it's probably one of the few places that I feel I express myself, like emotionally, like I get into it, and it's heartfelt. I mean, it's a great way for me to express myself. Openly, and I don't mind doing that.
And what's interesting about your band is that, I mean, obviously, you'll come in and you'll sing some cover songs. Mm-hmm. You're happy to do that. You write a lot of your own music. 90% of your set rather, is your own music.
Well, it depends. Like if I come here, people, I'll throw a couple of songs of my own in, but they're here. They want to hear songs that they're familiar with. So I have no trouble. I'll sing songs that I like.
So you got to conform to the
your
audience.
Environment.
Yeah, you got to know your audience. Same thing with comedy. You sort of have to know, after you've been doing it a while, you can come out and you can see oh, it's going to be one of these kinds of shows, and it's not necessarily a negative thing.
No.
You just have to conform to that.
But I'll
to
have people that I'll come and do a show here, and someone will say, "Oh, will you play?" Some people.
Sweet Home Alabama.
No, well, they'll come and ask me for my own songs, which is nice. But a lot of times they'll ask for. The other night I was here, and they asked for a David Wilcox song, so I did Riverboat Fantasy. So I have no trouble. I'm a performer, and I like playing in front of people, so I have no trouble doing cover songs. Again, I'm not going to do Wagon Wheel because I don't like the song.
So I was literally, that was going to be the next. So I was like, have you ever been asked to play? So Matt Anderson, a friend of yours,
a good friend of mine.
Yeah, a good friend of yours, and I am a huge fan. So that's the last show that I saw at the Folk Theater.
Mine too.
Yes, you were there. I got your mom and you in the picture
with Matt.
Yeah, absolutely. And what a great show that was.
Oh, yeah.
But now I know you don't like that song.
I like when he does it.
I don't even know. Listen, I don't even know who the fuck wrote Wagon Wheel. But
actually, Bob Dylan wrote it and played it at a
you
sound
gotta be
check.
kidding me.
And then Old Crow Medicine Show took it.
That's
and,
the one that
and
I
did it.
Yeah.
But it was first penned and started by Bob Dylan.
Man,
and they heard it at a sound check.
And you still don't like it.
It's just been that it's been overplayed. It's just like Sweet Home Alabama's been played, or Stairway to Heaven by Led Zeppelin. I can listen to Matt sing the phone book, literally. I mean, he's that good a performer and singer.
When he gets to
he
gets to the T's, though, you're like, I got to get the hell out of here. You're still staying.
I'm
staying. I asked Jason Martell once to play Wagon Wheel, and he threw his guitar through that stained glass window and jumped out, and ran back to Bathurst.
It's a standard response of most performers because it's the song. And look, it's a great song. It's just that it's been overdone, and
I agree.
But Matt, I'll listen to Matt sing it anytime he wants to sing it.
We forgot to do one more wing after that, before that second question. So we're going to do it right now.
So
this
new
next
sauce?
Yeah,
Okay.
but hang on before we do it.
Okay.
So it's going to be.
Explain it.
You know what? It looks like I'm going to H&R Block right now. I have too many pieces of paper.
Well,
Anyway, this next one is going to be the Trailer Park Boys. You know what? I'm not a huge fan of it, but there's a little bit of.
I'll tell you, I liked the first one. I thought it was tasty.
Yeah,
it had a little bit of zing, and it was gone.
It was very good. You're doing very, very good. You're doing very, very
thanks,
good.
man.
I'm going to do a big dip for the Bubbles, Ricky, and Julian.
Okay.
It's called Decent.
I'm not a fan of the taste, really.
This one? Right off the bat. Right off the bat?
Now that one's a little hotter. I can feel it in my throat a little bit when I swallowed it. Not too much zing in my mouth. But I as a taste.
See, I don't feel heat off that at all.
It's not as tasty as the first one.
Now, I like heat. A little bit of heat, a little bit of spice. But not like Stefan does. Like he told me once, he texted me once, he was trying some hot sauces at his house. And he said, all it said was, my ears are sweating. And I was like, dude, I gotta try that. He had one called spontaneous combustion, which is literal, because after you ate it, you actually spontaneously combusted and passed away. So
you have a big thing on people passing away.
I know. I gotta stop joking about that. I learned that.
Well, especially if it happens to me,
You're gonna be fine.
I'm gonna be pissed.
No, but the thing is, Terry, it is actually good for your health. It's good. Now it might be a little bit painful. Sometimes 14 hours later.
I've heard that it can be as hot on the way out as it is the way in.
Sometimes hotter, sometimes worse.
Really?
Yeah, so you get the cramps.
But you know what?
But it cleans you out. It cleans you out.
There is a nice taste. There's there's a warmth in my mouth still, but there's a flavor too that goes with it that is nice. You know?
Well.
So, but anyway, I still like the first one better.
Let's do this properly and introduce the wing sauce. We good?
Yeah, we're good.
Let's do this properly and introduce the wing sauce first, and then we'll get into the question.
Okay.
So this next one is it's just like Frank's isn't paying me, but we're gonna promote them anyway.
Okay.
This
it makes me think of the old woman. I put that.
Dude, this is just straight up Frank's red hot.
Okay.
We're gonna do that.
Okay.
You go first, and then I'll go.
Let's see what we got.
Yeah. Are you a drum or a flat guy?
I like the flats. These. I'm telling you right now, there's got to be olives in that. It tastes like olives. It's got a flavor to olives, which I hate.
Really? I have never in my life heard anyone say there's olives in this. Dude, you eat the...
Check the ingredients. I bet you
You got all the
$100
meat off that.
It's the only thing in the world, now look at me. I don't pass up much food,
So,
okay? But I
going there.
hate olives. The only thing I can say that I hate. Now, as a kid, I didn't like celery.
I love how you recognize like the 8th ingredient of a hot wing sauce. They're like, somewhere there's sucralose in there and xanthan gum.
Somebody check.
I can taste the xanthan gum.
Somebody, no, I've got to remember which, I think this is the one I liked.
Terry, what are some of your, and this is actually an intrinsically motivated question, what are some of your, did we even talk about what did you do to prepare for the show?
We did, but you asked me what I'm memorizing lyrics. The classroom, it's, because I've been teaching for 25 years and I've taught a lot of the courses so many times, I could go in cold every day and know what I'm going to teach.
Because you've been teaching it for so long.
So long. And you still have a lesson plan. You still have a blueprint of what you want to cover because, you'll kind of revisit things to make sure the concepts were grasped. I mean, I'm teaching things like art and graphic art design and computer-aided drafting, so it's a little different than math or English or sciences. But, you got to have a read on a classroom, no different than you have to read off an audience. Mm-hmm. You got to see that, your students, your kids have got it, or, you need to revisit something and give them more time. Mm-hmm. I don't want to put any pressure on any of my students, so, I keep it, you've been in my classroom, I try to keep it relaxed,
It's always relaxed whenever I was supply teaching for you with no lesson plan. Mm-hmm. I would go in and I would go through your desk a little bit, find a Rubik's Cube or two. Yeah, I always found that interesting about you. It was always like puzzles to solve.
I learned how to do that in the spring of '82.
Yeah.
We were playing high school hockey. We were in the provincial championships, and we were traveling to games home and away. And myself and Chris McDonald, Reg McDonald was an MP here, his son, and together we figured it out.
And also, a few minutes ago, you mentioned something that I don't think anyone's heard in 20 years, CD+.
Well, it hasn't been that long, but
Dude,
it's been...
well, you know what, man?
Well, it's probably been '09, because my first two albums, the first one came out in fall of '07, the second one fall of '08.
Yeah.
They were still there then, but they weren't after that. So they were gone.
We used to go, my buddy Oliver, we used to go to, obviously, Douglastown. Mm-hmm. So Stephen McKnight ran that store in the Douglastown Mall. You can't even get into the Douglastown Mall. You got to go to Studio. Mom calls it Studio. That's a little bit of heat, right?
No, I think it just went down the wrong pipe.
But, it's so funny that you mentioned that, because I would never have thought of that store had you not mentioned that, CD+. I bought The Matrix there.
Really?
On normal DVD. It was so old, one of those Warner Brothers snapper cases. It's like no one wanted those.
My favorite story of CD+ is I was a huge Van Halen fan. Still am. And when Eddie passed away recently, 2 months ago, it really affected me a lot. But what was interesting about when our first album got put in the store, it put on the racks in alphabetical order. And it was Van Halen, Whalen.
Oh, that's so cool.
They were right beside each other, but you know what? I didn't take a picture, and I should have.
You should have done that, yeah. Well, it would have been with like a Motorola Razr phone.
Something like that. I probably didn't own one then. You know?
No, that's true. But that is so cool. I have similar things that happen. If I'm like on some sort of menu with someone else, and like near like some other comedian, I'm like, oh my God, I'm on the same screen as them, or I'm scrolling through and I can see my name with someone that I admired. That's really cool.
Well, I remember we were supposed to do a show down in Aylesford.
We were.
A comedy show, yeah.
Yeah, with Mike McDonald. Yeah.
With Mike McDonald.
Oh my God, yes.
And I watched Mike perform, and we were going to be the musical act that was going to sort of open the show and end the show, and you were going to be one of the comedians on one of the nights, and Mike McDonald was going to be there.
I forgot about that.
Yeah.
That was a huge deal for me. So Mike, so when I got off the bus when I was a kid, you have to get off the bus to go home, obviously. So I would roll off the bus and I would run in to watch Channel 39, the Canadian
Comedy
network.
channel,
Yeah,
yeah,
Comedy
yeah,
Channel,
yeah,
right.
yeah.
And then, so there would be a bunch of stand-up comedy shows on, one of which would be Just for Laughs, and Mike would always be on there. Never got to meet him. Was able to speak with him on Facebook
Okay, that's cool.
once or twice.
Okay.
And that was really cool. He's my father's favorite comedian, even though I'm a comedian. He's still Dad's favorite comedian, posthumously, of course.
Yeah.
But I was upset about that
Yeah,
passing
no.
away. Yeah, he was great. But that would have been cool to go. And it was at, I believe it was called Sable Island.
No,
Camp-
it was Fox Mountain Campground.
Fox Mountain Campground. I thought it was Sable
in
Island. I was like,
because there used to be a blues festival there. Smoke and Blues Fest used to be there. They
Right.
have since moved into Windsor, but I knew the campground because I had been there a couple times.
it's weird that I thought it was Sable Island because I remember I said Sable Island Campground, and then I sent it to somebody, and they're like, I think that's where the boat that the perfect storm took place went down. They're like, George Clooney's body is floating in the fucking ocean right now off the North Atlantic with some horses just watching. You want to move on to the next one?
Well, let's give her a try. They're getting
Yeah.
a little spicier, but I still like the first one.
Well, we
and not
toned it
because
down. I hope
wasn't-
we did. Yeah, listen, like Stefan and I were here for, I believe, 6 or 7 hours making these sauces up. 6 or 7
So
minutes.
that first one, is that not one that I can just buy, or was that concocted by
You can
a
just take
team
that-
of scientists at
You can just take
O'Donoghue's?
that. Yeah, it's the same guys that made the vaccine. Yeah.
How's that? Any better?
Well, it's intermittent, so we just have to keep on.
Okay.
Back.
Okay.
So you like that sauce? You like that first
That
one?
first one, I would
buy
I would
that.
make that a regular.
You
Yeah.
can have that right there.
Well, I'll
You
put
can
it
have
in
mine,
I'll put it
too.
in the pocket when I leave.
Yeah. I always take my sauces home whenever
I'll put it on my collar and I can lick on it
It's
for a
not-
couple weeks.
Yeah, well, there you go. Like a salt lick, like a horse. Like the horses off Sable Island. I don't
Okay.
know what the hell we're talking
Nice
about
segue.
anymore. Number 4. So yeah, so this is, I think, and this one is selfishly a question for me as well, that I think some people out there would relate to. Being a musician and a teacher during a global pandemic. So you're a little bit older than me, but this is my first global pandemic, you know, and I understand that everyone's business, regardless of industry, is affected by this thing. But how are you coping with this thing, and how has it affected you as a teacher and as a musician?
Well, it's a very good question.
But before you do that, let's do a
Oh,
sauce.
okay,
Yeah,
all right,
let's do the fourth
all
one.
right. All right.
We're still working out the kinks of the show. Sometimes I get the question out before we dip. Sometimes we don't. But we're just going to roll with it, and people are going to enjoy it, right? I feel a little more heat to it.
There's more heat for sure.
Right off the top.
I still got this taste of olives.
That's hot. I can feel it. You're doing great. You were a little bit nervous a couple days ago. You can feel it around your lips. You can feel it. You feel it in your
No,
mouth.
it's staying. You know,
Yeah.
it's hot.
It
You know,
sticks around.
It's this one is.
We got some milk for you. We
yeah,
haven't
no,
had the milk
I'm
yet.
gonna try and be a good soldier.
Yeah.
You know, but
Yeah.
well, getting back to your question, it's a good question because, you know, I've met a lot of great musicians, full-time musicians through the years. It's a great fraternity. You know, Matt Anderson, John Campbell, Steve Mariner, and these guys are full-time musicians. And I was always a little bit envious, you know, that I'm a full-time teacher and a part-time professional musician. Of
course,
You
yeah.
know, I think I'm all right to say that. And one time, John said, look, you know, he had just come back from a tour of Germany, and I said, I was just about to say, man, I envy you. You get to, you know, live this life. And he was asking me what I did, and I told him, he said, man, I envy you. And I just stopped me in my tracks, and he says, you know, when are you going to retire? And I said, I got a few years. And he says, you're going to have a pension, and,
Right.
you know, he says, I got to play music and teach guitar until the day I die. You know, he doesn't have a pension, you know.
Yeah.
So during this pandemic, while all of my musician friends weren't playing, you know, and we were home doing homeschooling for in the spring, you know, my pay was coming in. You know, I was getting my pay. So I feel like I have the best of both worlds anyway, even during regular times that,
Sure.
you know, I don't have to worry about my music paying the bills. You know, I can go out there and be, you know, a weekend warrior, so to speak.
Yeah.
But I mean, I also prepare for it as if I'm a professional musician. You know,
Well,
you know,
I wouldn't feel I wouldn't feel bad for that because you worked hard to be a teacher
Yeah.
and you work hard as a teacher
Yeah.
and you spent a lot of money to get where you're
Yeah.
at and a lot of time.
But teaching is also, I mean, the district has been very supportive of me. Different times that I went to ECMAs, you know, they gave me time out of PD money to be able to go. And
they hired me to supply
and
things for you.
they supported me a lot
Yeah.
during those years. And I would come back and I get back and I teach songwriting and try to be mentor students that are musicians, and I've done that, and I love doing that. But I mean, I have no trouble giving back, you know. And so they've been very good. But I mean, you know, the pandemic has seriously hurt a lot of my musician friends, you know, and their income, and I feel bad for that. And you know, it's not just the money side of it. I mean, that's their passion as it is mine. I've missed being out there performing, you know, and I'm getting out. I was here last week, and you know, I was here with Garrett Mason back in August, and you know, I love doing that. I mean, so you know, there's the two sides. I'm sure musicians, you know, need that money, these professional musicians, but they also miss it. I mean, it's like they're missing a body limb or something, you know, because it's your passion. It's my passion.
Yeah, it's one of those things that I found interesting was when this whole thing happened, because before this, obviously it's hard to be a performer. It's difficult to be a performer. It's hard to market yourself, and everything's hard. Everything's difficult. But there's never a shortage of people that are trying to get on TV either. There's no career beacon postings for actor, for comedian, for musician, for blues musician, whatever.
No.
So I was thinking, I was like, when this whole thing happened, and like I didn't qualify for EI or anything like that, I'm like, wow, there's never a better time for me to just quit, and nobody would give me shit about it. Nobody would, you know, be like, oh, well, you know what, the pandemic, Jimmy's working for the federal government now or whatever, and no one would care. It's like, here's my way out. But I didn't really have anywhere to go. I didn't really know anyone. I was like, well, this is what I've sort of doubled down on for the past like 5+ years. So I found something that I'm good at that I can make a little bit of money at. So I want to triple down on it. So it's.
But I mean, you know, someone says, "Oh, wouldn't you love to make it?" You know what? And
You have made it.
I have made it. You know, because I'm doing what I want to do. I mean, people have to be careful. You don't have to become Eddie Murphy or Robin Williams, you know, to be a successful comedian.
Yeah.
You know, do it because you love it. You know, at the end of the day, that's what it's all about.
Yeah.
And that doesn't matter if it's music or comedian or being a woodworker or whatever it is. Do it because you love it.
Someone told me once, well, you got to move to Hollywood, got to move to Toronto to make it. I said, what's your definition of making it? Seriously, what's your definition of making it? Because to me, it's just being happy and be able to pay my bills. And if I have to do another job, I have to like teach or tutor or whatever on the side, I'm cool with that. If I have to wash dishes at Stephen LaForest's house.
Well, you actually have to wash these dishes later.
yeah. Stephen's like, who the hell do you think's paying for this
But
production?
you know what I mean? For me, because I have such a passion for music, I'm just stoked that I can consider some of these musicians my friends. You know, like I'm friends with people that have the same interests as me, whether it's Matt or Garrett or Steve Marin or whoever, you know, whoever it might be, and I can keep listing names. You know, I sometimes feel like, and it's not, but I almost get into this so I could call these guys my friends or people. You know,
I get you. Yeah,
you know,
I hear
but
you.
it's I've just enjoyed this ride so much, and like it's just
Listen,
such
it's
an
not about who
enjoyment.
you know; it's about who knows you. And you've earned. Like I've dealt with similar things. I know sort of what you're talking about because people are like, oh, well, Jimmy only got that job because he knows James Mullinger. It's like, well, I only know James Mullinger because I worked for 5 years, tested jokes out, and got to meet him, and then he liked my jokes, and then hired me for shows.
Right. Yeah.
And then they don't see the path.
Yeah.
Sometimes people only see the end result.
But some of that is your own. Like I mean, I think most performers have a lot of insecurity that. You know, I remember so long saying.
Yep, we do.
How
I disagree with that, Terry.
You know,
We're perfectly secure.
When are people going to figure out I'm just a fraud? You know what I mean? Like,
Absolutely.
You know,
Jerry Seinfeld said the same thing.
Yeah.
Jerry Seinfeld, sometimes he'll show up at the show and he'll be like, I I'm not really a real comedian. I'm just telling stories that I find observationally humorous.
And he's one of the best of all time.
He's one of the best of all time,
Yeah,
but he struggles before
Yeah.
a show. Like,
I think most people that are performers have insecurities. I don't consider myself to have a lot of self-esteem, but I'm going to do it because I love it and I want to do it, and I've made some amazing friends.
well, that's why this next
No.
sauce is called Self-Esteem Builder.
Ooh.
Yeah.
Well, that one's just dying down now. The last one.
It's from Nappin.
It is-
I don't even know why I said that.
Nappin'?
It's from Beta Vin. Beta Vin
Holy
days.
snapping!
Yeah,
nappin'.
we went
Okay,
after Beta
all
Vin
right.
days and scooped up the remains of human beings, and then we put it into a sauce.
Here we go again with.
Yeah, it's a very,
Carcasses.
it's a, ve- yeah, it's a
You
very.
have a very morbid.
Yeah, I know. I don't know where
Okay.
that's coming from tonight. Dave Draper is still alive, by the way. We're not going to say that
All
he
right.
passed away
So
anymore.
this new one. What's this next one called?
Well, I don't even think there's a question 5, so we're just going to go to question 6.
Okay.
So let's first of all let's dip. So let's do
Okay.
it.
So
we're
this is a new one.
we're on to this one, right?
No, I think I've been putting them out of the way as we've been doing it.
Yeah. So I haven't been. So you're more
I think
organized
this is the
than
next
me.
one.
Yeah. So let's do
Okay.
this one.
So what's this number 5?
Number 5. I think we've asked question 5, but
Okay.
we're just going to keep going. So this one's actually one of my favorites.
Okay.
So this one's this one here, because that's
Okay.
how important it is. I actually put it out.
So the skull. Should I be worried about the skull and crossbones on the bottom?
Yeah. It actually says on the bottle, "Do not consume in your mouth." This is called Blueberry Plague hot sauce. It's kind of synonymous with the tone
All right.
of my jokes
Let's do a
tonight.
little tiny bit.
It's this one here, yeah.
Okay.
I'm doing a flat for this one.
Yeah, it's good. Yeah,
I'm doing one more dip.
it's got some zing.
Yeah. You taste the blueberries?
Yeah.
There's nothing sexier than watching people eat wings.
I might be able to give you a list of things.
There was a degree of sarcasm there.
That's spicy.
So what's it like
I like
being
the taste of it.
What's it like being nominated for an ECMA, East Coast Music Award? Three times.
That was pretty cool.
3 times. Yeah.
Twice we were nominated at the same time Matt Anderson. And
That's cool. What's
he
it like to be in the
obviously
same?
won.
Yeah. What's it like being in the same category as somebody that you admire like that?
I remember the first time I was just floored that we were nominated because, when I started doing this music in 07, I had no idea that it would ever leave the Miramichi. I thought,
Yeah.
I'd be playing at local bars and pubs and venues. And when we got that nomination, the first one, we took off because all of a sudden festivals and all over Atlantic Canada were saying, we want you to come and play. So
Harvest
it
Jazz
opened.
and Blues.
Harvest Jazz and Dutch Mason Blues Festival and
Yeah.
Smoke and Blues Fest and so many, so it opened up a lot of doors, but it was pretty humbling, without question,
Yeah.
to just the nomination. I mean, it never needed to be any more than that, we've never won an ECMA. But just to be nominated was more than enough to open up doors and
Sure.
and take this thing. There was never a blueprint, I just do it because I love it, and these things just happen.
There was never an end game or a exit strategy. It was just doing it because you love it.
Yeah.
There was no so that's something that's resonated between me and other musicians and artists that I've met is doing something is equally as important as why you're doing it. So if you're doing this for the wrong reason, you're going to be vastly disappointed.
Oh,
Because
yeah.
do you think Garrett
Right.
Mason or Matt Anderson gets into this for the money? They've been doing this for 30 years, for 25 years. The money comes later. If you chase the money, it's going to run.
Yeah, I think if it's not sincere, the audience is going to see it. You know what I mean? So, obviously, you just brought up Garrett Mason and Matt Anderson. Those are two hugely and immensely talented individuals
Right.
that maybe could do anything and for any reason and still be successful. But those two guys I know are passionate about what they're doing, and don't want to do anything else.
As far as comedy, I heard Jerry Lewis say something one time. He said, the audience will always know when it's a set joke
Yeah.
and when it's coming from the heart. And it's hard for me to explain to people like my parents that rush you get when the laugh goes all the way to the back of the room and it comes roaring back at your face.
Mm-hmm.
You know, you can tell that to anyone in the world. They're
Yeah.
like, well, why don't you get a real job? And it's like, no one knows what that feels.
Yeah.
You can't tell that to anyone because they don't know what you're talking about.
Yeah.
But I know
Yeah.
what it feels like.
Like, I can't explain why we've done as well as we have. Not that we're any huge amount of success, but I can't explain it. I mean, there's people that knew me before music. I was an athlete of sorts, hockey and baseball, and people knew me.
Foosball. You played foosball for 30 years.
No. But anyway, people
Foosball fucking
only knew me
champion.
of that. So there's a lot of people didn't know that I was a musician, and I was a closet musician for a lot of years. So people knew me in that world, and are just probably still amazed, like how did that happen, you know, kind of thing. And I can't explain it. It's just I'm doing what I love, and it resonated with enough people that you know, I've been able to do it.
That's a good reason to do that. We skipped the question long ago. I'm
Okay.
going to ask it right now. So what can someone expect to see if someone's never seen you or bought one of your albums before at CD Plus in 09? You can buy them online. We're going to get to that in a minute.
Yeah.
We're going to update for whatever the hell year we're in, 2020. How could you forget? What can they expect to hear and see from a live Terry Whalen
Well, I think
performance?
you know, I'd like to think that it's you're going to see the passion that I have for music, and our band. My son is my bass player when we have a full band, which I really enjoyed playing with my son, obviously.
Terry the Eighth.
Yeah, exactly. But you know, toe tapping. I'm a blues rock guy. You know, I think my voice isn't that hard to listen to. It's, you know, it's a deep baritone-ish type of voice, so it's not shrilly type of
Is there anyone that you
vocals.
compare it to?
You know, different people have said I sound like David Wilcox and Eric Clapton and Jeff Healey. I don't hear any of those.
I can hear the Eric
You know,
Clapton.
but
I can.
I like to think that you know, I have a bit of a distinct voice. That
Yeah.
you know, there's not anybody out there in my circles that sound exactly like me. And that's the thing about music. It's not a competition because I can't compete with Garrett. You know, we're doing different things. You know, or Matt or Steve Mariner.
It's not about the competition.
No, it's not.
It's not.
And that's the musicians that I've become friends with
Yeah.
because they're the same. You know, they're helpful. Like I'm working on a new album right now called Terry Whalen and Friends, and I have 15 songs with 15 different musicians guest appearing on it. I have Matt Anderson, Garrett Mason, and Steve Mariner, and John Campbell.
Wow, that's
and you know, and that's just the beginning of the list. You know, and all of them have come on. That's why this fraternity.
Can we ask when that comes out?
Well, I'm hoping to have all
Me.
the tracking. I'm hoping all the tracking is finished by the end of the year. So I'm thinking mixing and mastering is going to be done by Paul Milner at Trillium House in St. John, and I'm hoping by March,
Yeah.
February, March, that it'll be out.
And where can we find that?
Well, you know, here's the thing with CDs now. You know, I
Yeah.
always say CDs now are a glorified business card because the new cars now don't even have CD players.
I know, yeah.
So I've resisted the
App Store?
digital. You know, my fifth album we put on iTunes and
Yeah.
Spotify, but I'm not a big fan of supporting Spotify. even
Why is
though-
that?
Because the artist gets nothing.
Yeah.
You know,
Unless you're Joe Rogan.
no, none of them. No one's Taylor Swift. You know, who's a very successful artist.
Never
obviously.
heard of her yet.
But you know, she's making pennies on the number of spins. You know, it's just it's disgusting. You know, they've taken it out of the artist's hands.
So that whole thing, you know what, before we get to the next thing, before we finish this thought, let's do the sixth one. Because this show's already been running.
Okay.
Dude,
I don't know.
And Ashley
This-
Domino's got
this
to
is-
edit this whole thing.
This is definitely going to be the last one. Cause
No, there's one more after this. I'm doing a big
I'm
debt.
not doing the next one.
So this one, who even gives a shit what it is? This is Haunted Habanero. This is made by O'Donoghue's Irish Pub.
I tell you, it's probably the tastiest one that I've had.
Yeah, well, that's
But it's hot.
those are but you know what that is? That's Matt Trevor's habaneros grown
Oh.
in wherever the hell Matt lives. Somewhere that's able to grow habaneros, he lives them. He grows them and brings them in here.
No, that's really like
That's not
incredibly
even-
spicy, but it's really tasty.
Not even hot. Not that's. I don't get a lot of heat from that because
yeah?
I'm still no, because I'm still numb from the last one.
Yeah,
You're not going with that?
I'm not going there.
That's okay. I'm gonna do the last one.
I'll do this one again because it's so tasty.
Yep.
This is a Donahue's one.
So they're both O'Donoghue's one. The last two.
But it's,
We may have asked already the last one.
wow.
No, we haven't. I got one more. So I'm gonna do this one. And we're gonna talk about what do you have on the go for 2021. So let me just dip this. So this last one's called
Oh,
Death Sauce.
okay. Yeah. I'd like the taste of that second last one.
Dude, you gotta do a little dip of that. No, you don't have to. No, you don't have no wings left. You know what? I like the Honda.
But I would eat that first one all day. It's just enough.
With no wings.
There's a little bit of zing, but it's tasty. I really like the taste of it, but not as much as I like that, but that would just be a little too hot if I was to eat a bunch of wings, I think.
So we may have already answered half of this question. But what's on the Terry Whalen Band roadmap for 2021, and where do you guys see yourself in 5 years?
Well, obviously getting this new CD done and getting it out. And the CD is Terry Whalen and Friends, and all the proceeds are going to the SPCA.
Oh, really?
So every penny, our family is
very sweet.
our animal. We've rescued dogs. My history with dogs.
Every time you drive me home, I'm covered in dog fur from the O'Donoghue's Irish Pub. Whenever you have a concert here, I'm always too drunk to drive home. My car always stays here for 5 days, and I go home. Your wife thinks I'm one of the dogs, and she's like, drive him home. Yeah.
But so that I want to get that CD done. I want to get it out. I will have CDs, and I want to sell them because I want people to support the cause. And of course, with all the great musicians on it, it's a no-brainer as far as I'm concerned. Hopefully 2021 open it up and we get back to doing our festivals, Harvest Jazz and Blues, and wherever, Laramie Creek, Hullabaloo, and Perth, Andover. And in 5 years, I'll be retiring from teaching. So I'll be able to dedicate, I'd like to do a Canadian tour, home concerts, like home routes, where they do these house concerts across Canada, mostly out west. I think I'd like to get on train.
What do you mean house concert? What is that?
A house concert is a concert that's put on by people, and they'll bring in a small crowd of...
Literally someone in a house.
Yeah, you go to somebody's house.
That's
And
so
out
cool.
west, there's a lot of farmhouses, so they can bring in 20, 30 people, $20 or $25 a head. You stay there for the night. They feed you, look after you, and then you move on to the next town, and you do another one.
That's
and you
awesome.
just do a national tour that way. Solo, like in most cases. And a lot of times on-amplified. You're just sitting in the corner with your guitar and sing, and there's a lot of artists that have done that, and I've never been able to do that because they only do them in the fall. And it's something I'd like to do, maybe get on the train.
So that's something that maybe has impeded those dreams, is teaching.
A little bit, yeah.
Not impeded, but a little bit in that respect.
I may go and get halfway across the country and say, okay, this living on the road is not for me, and get on a plane and fly back home. But
Well, if you end up in jail one night across the country, call Stephen LaForce to bail you out, because that's what I do every night. I want to thank Terry Whalen for being our second guest for a still untitled show. By the time this airs, it'll be titled. Thank you very much for coming on the
Hey,
show,
buddy.
Terry, and thanks for being a good
all
sport.
the best, man, with your endeavors with comedy.
Well, thank you very much, man.
Yeah.
Appreciate having you here.
Take care.
All right, have a great night, guys.
All right.